Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, so about, let's see, in 2010, I was taking a business class at the University of Washington. It was a graduate level class, and we had to divide up into teams each quarter, and we had, so we formed like this little company, and then we would have these group projects that we would do. And on this particular evening, I was driving from my home in Federal Way to Green Lake, to the Green Lake area in Seattle, and I had never driven there before. And so my sweet husband realized I probably could benefit from his GPS. And so he took it out of his car and he installed it in mine, and he got the address and had it all set up for me. And when I was just getting ready to drive away, he turned it on. So all I had to do was listen to her voice and follow those directions. Everything was going just fine, on the main road, I-5, all the big roads. But then I started getting to narrowing down, and the voice said, turn left, next left. And I came to the intersection, and there was a hard left, and then there was another left. And I'm like, which left? I didn't know which way to go. And so I just guessed, and I took one of them. And I knew I didn't make the right choice because her voice came back on and she said, recalculating. Have you had that experience? So now this is the first time that I have ever used this. So okay. And so I kept following her directions, but it's a really windy, complicated area. And it was in the winter, it was dark, it was raining, and it was rush hour. So people were darting across the street. There was traffic everywhere. So I didn't dare look at the GPS. I was just listening. I just had to keep my eyes on what was happening in front of me. And I figure I was getting about 2 out of 3 directions right. And she kept saying, recalculating. Recalculating. Well, at some point, it occurred to me that she wasn't getting irritated. Recalculating. She just said it in that nice, cheerful voice, and no matter what I did, it was, she didn't get upset, and it just tickled me because I kept expecting her to say, dang it, recalculating. I have some kind of emotion behind it. And I did eventually get there. And I have since then, I've actually learned how to use a GPS a little bit better. So I know how to kind of glance over real quick. And I'm a little bit more proficient than I was that first time. And I was thinking that experience working with that GPS is a little bit like our life experience, isn't it? So when we understand the design of life, there's a perfect feedback system that we can know if we're in tune with Source and with our true nature, which is beautiful, harmonious, and light-filled. And so if we pay attention, we can detect if we're on course and what direction we need to take. But it takes a little bit of experience. But divine loving intelligence, all that is, the sea of awareness, never gets irritated. We'll give new directions based on the input we receive, and it's recalculating. So without a grudge or a past history. So we do know that there is only one. There is this one divine, loving energy of life, and this energy, this life is sentient. It's let's see, here we go. It's knowing, it's active, it's alive, and it's intelligent. It's known by many names, but defined by none. And so for today, I'm going to refer to it as the sea of awareness. But just know you can put whatever name that you want to use. And so existence exists, and we are one with it, and it's a non-negotiable. You cannot not exist, no matter what. So while we are one with this divine loving intelligence, the sea of awareness, we're also unique individual expressions. And that's kind of why I like that analogy of the sea of awareness, because on a sea, on an ocean, there's these unique little waves that come up out of the sea. And so we're one, and also we're unique. And this presence, this energy, doesn't actually have a preference for what we choose to create in life. So we can choose contraction, pain, and sorrow, or we can choose abundance. We can choose light, expansive, joy-filled experiences. And the Sea of Awareness actually doesn't have a preference. It can do either one equally well. It's up to us. And so remember that that we say that the Sea of Awareness, divine loving intelligence, wants to be known. And it wants to know itself from every single perspective and every single angle. And I really like that Sufi scripture, and there's a lot of different versions. And I think I shared one version last time I was here. But this one says, I was a hidden treasure, the secret of the universe, hidden behind veil after veil after veil of my own self-manifestation. And I wanted to be known. I longed, hungered to be known. And that is why I created the world. So we are the way that the stars look back at themselves. That's one way that it's been expressed. So how do we do this? With consciousness. So our consciousness is the tool that we use to know awareness, to know divine, loving intelligence. And our consciousness is really like a roving flashlight. So if you can picture this big flashlight, and we're in control of where we shine this flashlight. So we can shine it over here and look at the beautiful greenery. We can just shine it in down at the carpet, and oh, there's a little speck down there on the carpet. So we choose, we're in control of this flashlight, which is our consciousness. And we say that consciousness is the light of awareness. So this is our tool. There's a philosopher, he was from Spain, and he wrote, "Tell me what you pay attention to, and I'll tell you who you are." So our life experience is going to be determined, and our creation, what we create with our life, by what it is we're focused on, what we're paying attention, where we're shining our light. And the purpose of this tool, our consciousness, is to discover and to discern and to know awareness, to know a divine loving intelligence. It wants to be known from every angle and every perspective. So the Dalai Lama was asked once, what is the purpose of life? How would you respond? He laughed, he roared when he was asked that question. But then he got really serious and he said, the purpose of life is to embody the transcendent. So I'll break that down. So it's to be in a body, heaven on earth. You know, that's another way to say it, to be divine love in a body. And I was looking at that word, transcendence, and I noticed that it's made up of two words, trance and end. So to end the trance while we're in a body, and we use our consciousness, that flashlight, that is part of our nature, to discern and to be able to do that. So, and the way we do it is we're in these earth suits. So we each have our own unique earth capsule or earth suit. And this really is like our experimentation lab, isn't it? We take it with us wherever we go, and we're using this as a tool to to ask ourselves different questions. And what are we asking ourselves? What resonates with my unique soul? What provides an expansive, light-filled, joyous experience for me? Do you agree that those are questions, in whatever way you word it, that we're always asking ourselves, and we're always discerning, and we're making choices based on the feedback that we get? So when we sense that maybe we're a little bit off course, just like that GPS, we can give new directions to the sea of awareness, and it will recalculate, and we get instant feedback. So the feedback is always instant within our being, within our capsule, and to have feedback that is actually manifest in the world takes a little bit more time. But we always get that some initial sensations within our body that we can discern if we're on the right track with our choices, if they're in harmony with our being, the truth of who we are. So occasionally, sometimes more often than not, and sometimes only rarely, we realize that that although we have certain intentions, the results that we're getting are not what we were expecting. Have you had that experience? You hold an intention for a desirable outcome, and then the feedback that you start getting feels contracted and tight, and there's a little bit of pain, some fear. We've all had that experience, right? And this system is so marvelous and perfect because it does give us absolutely perfectly mirrors what it is that we're holding in our being. So usually this means that we're holding on to a little bit of fear or doubt, that there's some fear and doubt messages emanating from our being, and we might not even be consciously aware of it. But when we feel that tightness, when we feel, and where do you feel fear in your body? Right in your chest. We can feel it in our mind, jaw, your throat area, your gut. There's a lot of different landing sites for it. So that's actually really good feedback. And so when we feel that, we can make some choices about how to redirect ourselves. Fear is, if you really start breaking down these vibrations, fear is a vibration that we have something that we should be fearful of, right? There's something exists that we need to be afraid of. And doubt is actually kind of opposite. Doubt is a vibration that we lack something that we think we need. But ultimately, all of these thoughts that cause contraction, that cause us to tighten and a little bit of pain, are not real. You've all heard the acronym. Fear is false evidence appearing real. So how do we move our consciousness so that we are not holding those anymore? And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. So I actually have 2 suggestions that we can experiment with, and during our meditation we'll experiment with those 2 suggestions that we can use to help us to recognize if we're holding on to fear or doubt or resistance, and then to help us to let go of those feelings. So first of all, we want to let go of them without a lot of mental analysis. And I know there are some people who believe that if you are holding a fear, that you have to understand it, every little nook and cranny and perspective of it. You really need to dig deep and work hard, just tackle it mentally to be able to dissolve it. And that's actually not maybe the easiest, fastest way to do it. Because, if you're really analyzing and spending a lot of time looking at that fear, what happens? It grows, right? what we pay attention to, we're going to experience more of that in our life. Do you remember Job in the Old Testament? He said, "That which I feared came upon me." So one thing that you might want to experiment with is, instead of giving it a lot of attention, just notice that you are holding it. And that's all we need to do, is just notice, I'm holding some fear. And if that fear is not too deep, you can just try moving your consciousness. So focusing on something different instead, something that's expansive and light-filled. So we want to, when we do this, the ancient mystics say that when we're focused, so we choose something that's more light-filled, and we're aware that we are the sea of awareness, and that we're dropping this thought into the sea of awareness, and we're watching it. We're watching it as it becomes manifest, first in our body and then in the outer world. And so the ancient mystics say that when we're really focused like that, our consciousness is married to awareness. So our consciousness is married to awareness. And like newlyweds, they're reluctant to part from each other. And their minds are not wandering, they're not straying. So they're married together. And what happens? When we're focused like that, we're in the moment. We're living in the present moment. And then our thoughts, other stray thoughts that are out there, we're likely to wander and leave our love awareness. So the first suggestion is that we just choose something different that we know is light-filled and expansive, and we focus on that. Focus on it in the context of being part of the sea of awareness, and we're watching it come into being. Okay. The second idea that we can experiment with, and I was just going to say on that idea, Paul, the Apostle Paul in the New Testament, is in agreement. You might recall his admonition, his advice to us. He said, "Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, think on these things." So we're just avoiding our fear, and we're thinking on those things that are high and uplifting, higher uplifting vibration. The second idea, so if we find that our fears, doubts are deeper, or there's more resistance, they're consistently strong, is to focus and reconnect with the understanding of our being. We want to focus on the truth of our nature and reconnect with that. Because the truth is that each and every one of you, all of us, are beautiful, light-filled beings, expressions of the divine, and we're part of one, part of one divine loving energy that has created our individuality out of love for the purpose of love. And so as we reconnect to that truth, then those deep-seated fears or doubts will just naturally evaporate or dissolve into the nothingness from which they really are. So one of the ways that I enjoy and I found effective for me personally to reconnect with the truth of my being if I temporarily forget who I am is by reading the Upanishads. I think that they're so beautiful, and they're especially good for me to reconnect with the truth of who I am. And I brought one that I'd like to share with you today. The self is one. Ever still, the self is. Swifter than thought, swifter than the senses, though motionless. The self outruns all pursuits. Without the self, never could life exist. The self seems to move, but is ever still. The self seems far away, but is ever near. The self is within all and transcends all. Those who see all creation in themselves and themselves in all creation know no fear. Those who see all creatures in themselves and themselves in all creatures know no grief. How can the multiplicity of life delude the one who sees its unity? The self is everywhere. Bright is the self, indivisible, untouched by sin, wise, immanent, and transcendent. The self it is who holds the cosmos together. Thou art that. So there's, actually I could have drawn from dozens of different passages that really help bring me back to the truth of who I am, the truth of who each and every one of you are. So the two suggestions, just the first, if the fears and doubts are not too deep, just move our flashlight, move the light of our consciousness and focus intently on something else that's higher. And the second idea is to reconnect with the truth of who we are. And that might be taking a walk in nature, listening to music, whatever it is for you that helps ground you and reconnect you to the truth of your being. Affirmative prayer. So all thoughts that create contraction or sensations of contraction are the manifestation of untruth. We know that, and we just hold that in mind. And that we are one with all that is. And so we are creative beings, and we create with our thoughts. We create with where we place our attention, where we direct the light of our consciousness. And as we learn to just let go of these fears, focus on something higher and brighter, I think you'll be amazed at how quickly your fears begin to dissolve. One reminder, though, is that no matter what it is that we choose to create with our consciousness and our thoughts, nothing can ever be maintained permanently, right? The nature of this realm of life is change. Only divine living intelligence, the sea of awareness, is permanent and unalterable. So all of our experiences will come, but then they must dissolve and allow for new, different experiences. So don't hang on to the same thing that you know that you love. As we experiment and perfect our ability to use our creative capacity through thought and consciousness, we ultimately realize that we're harmonious. We've been designed to be harmonious, and that underlying feeling is contentment. So you know what it feels like to be content, and that's an indicator that we're in alignment with all that we are, the truth of our nature. So whatever it is that takes you there, if it's riding horses, jumping out of airplanes, eating a chocolate mousse, listening to music, then I say just go with it. All right, so we're going to do a meditation, and I've designed this meditation so that we can deeply relax and let our minds get into an alpha wave pattern, so that the words that I say to you will sink deep, and we're going to just experiment with these concepts. So I invite you to just sit up a little bit straighter, but be comfortable, your feet flat on the floor in front of you. And just for a moment, let go of all thoughts. Thoughts that came before this moment. Let go of the excitement for the picnic. And we'll just bring our attention right here to the present moment. And just notice your breathing, gently rising and falling. Feel how your focus on the breath welcomes a state of peace and receptivity. Become conscious that you are in a state of peace and serenity. That you have arrived in the present moment, and that your consciousness is fully available to explore within. Remember that we are the medium of our experience. We are that ever-present, ongoing sea of awareness, living energy. And as such, we hold all possibilities within us. There is no state that we cannot experience. And we can use intention to bring us into the heart of any experience. But what of experience beyond what we already know? What of infinite potential, infinite possibility? Well, the sea of awareness can carry out these intentions also. So let us hold this, in this moment, the attention to feel the highest potential of our being, right in this moment. All possibilities exist equally in each moment. So I invite you to hold the intention now to feel the highest possibility for this moment. So just notice how the sea of awareness begins to carry this out for you. Just feel the sensations in your body start to shift and transform in response to this direction. Feel the expansion and the light as all your cells in your body start to realign around the highest potential. Notice how the sensations that you experience are expansive, full of light, giving you the feeling of levity and lightness. Notice that you feel a sense of alignment. And what are we in alignment with? We are in alignment with the frequency of the sea of awareness, divine, loving intelligence. And so the intention to hold the highest possibility is in alignment with who we are. And the sensations register this and give us the feedback that we are entering into a positive, expansive, experience. With this intention, we are allowing our highest good to come to us, and there is no part of the intention which seeks to limit our good or close down our experience. So what happens when we do experience contraction? When we do experience a closing down of our being in response to a thought that we have held? When we move into thoughts that are not in alignment with who we are, our sensations will register contraction. And this is the feedback that we are engaging in thoughts which do not serve us. And the feedback is instantly and incredibly accurate. Every tiny doubt, every tiny fear is picked up by the sea of awareness and carried out in our experience as contracted sensations. So whenever we feel contracted, we know that we are moving away from the alignment of who we are. I invite you to take a thought that you often think that you know does not serve you. And if you're like most humans, you'll have at least one. So take this thought that you would like to change, that you would like to lift to a higher alignment, and just notice it in your being. Just notice the presence of this thought in your being. Just notice that vibration or sensation of contraction. Notice where in your body you feel it. And just remember that those sensations are alerting you to the fact that this thought is not serving you. It's not in alignment with the truth of your being. So let us again become conscious that we are the sea of awareness, living energy. And let's place our attention on our presence as the sea of awareness and move into an intention that will allow us to feel the truth of our being instantly and accurately. And just allow the sea of awareness to carry this out. Noticing the sensations as they are changing. As contraction begins to lift and open, and as the cells of our being begin to realign and coalesce in a light, higher, open, expansive vibration. And remember, there is no state of being that you cannot experience. Simply focus on the intention you wish to carry out and allow the sea of awareness to do the rest. So become conscious of your state of being as you are now. Let the peace and the serenity of your being expand into the cells of your physical body until there is a harmonious continuum between your state of being and your physical body. Become conscious of where you are sitting. Become conscious of where you are. Allow the peace and the serenity of your being to move out into the space around you until there is a balance, a harmonious continuum between your state of being and your environment. And take a deep breath in and keep your eyes closed and smile. Allow the sunshine of your smile to permeate throughout your entire being, out into your environment. The person that you were when you started this meditation is now gone. So become conscious of who you are now. Come into a conscious waking state as you are now, in perfect alignment, in perfect harmony, and take this being with you into life. And when you are ready, I invite you to open your eyes. Welcome back. I invite you to turn to your neighbor and let them know I am one with all that is.